Hello, Seekers. Wildly of Wildly Tarot here. And this is your Moonday message for the remainder of September as we head into October. And I am bringing this message to you through the support of Wild Moon Medicine Collective for Women. It is my new membership group that is opening live on Friday. I'm so excited to birth this new portal of power for women. And if you are curious at all, I want to encourage you to hop in my bio once this video is over and hop on the wait list, and I will send you details directly. So for this week, what are we looking at collectively? What is the energy that's present? And for myself, I'm really tuning in today. There's rain falling outside. I'm so grateful and full of thanks that we are getting this deep watering here on Mount Hood. And hopefully we might have made it through the wildfire season relatively unscathed this year. So just sending some gratitude to this beautiful water and really feeling the element of water for all of us this week. Water is very healing. It's very cleansing. We are mostly water. Water really holds the frequency and vibration of its surroundings. And it is also, in my 5 rhythms practice, associated with the element of chaos, which is the place where we are dancing back and forth between 2 paths, between 2 knowings, feeling everything shaking out, feeling our own reactions to stimulus outside of ourselves. It's just the space where reorganization happens when we are living in dense duality as we are on this planet, and we are often working that spectrum between 2 polarities. So that's what's feeling really alive in my channel right now. And the cards that came forward for all of us to help hold us, to bring a container to the energy this week. First, from the Sacred Rebels deck, we have What is Already With You. It's such a beautiful card with these open hands and the beautiful butterflies springing forth. Butterfly is always a symbol of transformation. This is an animal that is first one thing, a caterpillar, and then weaves itself into a chrysalis, into a cocoon-like structure, literally dissolves completely, loses the old form, and then reorganizes at a cellular level into the new being that it is, which is the butterfly, the beautiful butterfly that is now much more free, much more able to move in life the way that it wants to on very beautiful light wings. And so the message of this card is this really doubling down as a collective, recognizing that we're not the same. We're over a year and a half into this collective experience of a pandemic, and we have been changed. We have been reorganized individually on a microcosm level and externally in a macrocosm level. Things are shifting energetically and in reality. Systems are changing, structures are being seen where the weaknesses are within them. We are collectively witnessing where perhaps we don't prefer how things are running at a grander collective level. Or maybe we're just beginning to awaken to reality and truth and corruption and hope and all of the things. You know, wherever you are on your personal journey, the medicine and message of this card is that the most easeful and graceful way to move through the unknown is with our hands open, with this this beautiful teaching of the butterfly, that sometimes the most potent and powerful transformations happen in our lives, and they're not comfortable. They're not easy. They're messy. It's really messy for a caterpillar to dissolve and then regrow itself into a butterfly. I'm sure it's not a painless process. It's very similar to giving birth, to going through labor pains. Whether we prefer it or not, whether we like it or not, this world is designed with pain and pleasure. It's designed with this full spectrum of experiences. And it's our mind that writes the story about these experiences. And then we decide whether or not it is good or bad or right or wrong. And then we spin the story outward from that judgment point, from that choice point, into a story where we cause ourselves suffering, or we cause another suffering, or we go onto an ego trip, or we start future tripping, or we start past fantasizing and creating stories about what was, and we decide, oh, it was better than what is. But is that totally true? Now is what we have. It's what we always have. This is all that we have. And we internally create our experience of that moment, this moment, the now moment. And the medicine of this card is, should we continue to focus on what we think we have lost as we are going through an invitation to open our hands and to release attachment? Or would it serve us best to be present with what is? What is present in this moment? What is present for me in this moment? How may I be of service in this moment? What are my blessings in this moment? Recognizing that we are all going through this chrysalis phase, because we don't yet know what we are collectively turning into on the other side of this experience, because we're still in this experience. We're still in the dissolving phase. We're still having all of the puzzle pieces shake down to the ground. It's very disorienting. It's incredibly chaotic. We just want it to end, and yet we don't individually have the personal power to change an outside Goliath of a structure, as in our society, as in our government, as in the world, and how those governments are behaving with one another. And yet we have full sovereign power to be in charge of what we are feeling and experiencing in this moment, and how we are thinking and holding on and continuing to behave. So what's present for you in this moment? What's present for you in this moment, where you can see that you are going through metamorphosis? And how can you open your hands and allow that process to occur as easily as possible? And we have here, the archetype is withdraw. It is a potent week this week to withdraw our energy from outside sources and really bring them inward. This is a super reflective time. It always is around the equinoxes and the solstices. It's nice to celebrate with our people on the day of, but in general, the energetics around these transition times is one in which it's time to pull into ourselves, take time to re-examine and perhaps readjust the way we are behaving as we move into a new season. We pull out warmer clothes. We might decide we want to eat different food. It may not feel like the type of weather in which you want to be eating ice cream and watermelon or whatever. Maybe you want to start moving more towards soups and wearing woolens and things of that nature. It's just a moment to consciously withdraw our energy from the external, coming inward and preparing ourselves as we transition yet again into autumn. And then from the tarot, I think these are really fascinating. These two cards jumped out together. And so we have the Six of Cups combined with the World. And so Cups is the emotional realm, the emotional body. And this six, it really comes with this this hook of reminiscing, of really looking into the cups of the past and harvesting the emotional stories, the emotional intelligence, the wisdom from these past experiences. But it has a shadow side, right? Like we can get super caught up in the past and spend a lot of time there. We're not just gathering the wisdom, but we sit in longing. We sit in regret. We sit in wishing and hoping for things to be different than they are, which really keeps us disconnected from the truth, from what is in this moment. If we are really launching our consciousness towards the past timeline that we are no longer experiencing. You know, there is always a fine line between doing something in a healthful way and then stepping over the line into addiction or addictive patterns, or just really allowing the mind to trail off into some sort of fantasy land that isn't actually what is present. I'm not sure if you've done this before, but I have caught myself definitely multiple times thinking about a past event and embellishing it, or thinking it was much better than perhaps it actually was. I'd be curious if that happens to you. Feel free to drop a comment below if that does happen to you. But the mind tends to focus on one particular energy and then it amplifies it, right? So it's the negative bias that we have in our brain. So if we've decided that something in particular is unsafe, then all we see is information that supports that decision, that particular choice, that particular street, whatever, is unsafe. And the same is true of the opposite. If we decide to really focus on our blessings or the good things, then all we can see are the good things. I know I've done this in relationships where when I look back, I'm like, oh, I very much let my boundaries get crossed in that relationship. I was not fully honest around what this person was showing me about themselves. And yet my brain was very much focused on the good and then just amplified the good without taking in the entire picture of what I was being shown. And so there's nothing wrong with revisiting the past. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's wonderful. It's really nice to look through pictures to get reminded. We've been in a really, really fucking weird year and a half. And so, yeah, a lot of us have been reminiscing to remain hopeful, to remain positive, to remember how life used to be. And we don't want to get stuck there. And we don't want to make it so much better than it was. You know, we want to be really honest. Yeah, life was great. And you still had stress. Maybe you were working too hard. Maybe you were underpaid. Maybe there was stress around your living situation or needing to move frequently. Maybe your relationship wasn't that great. And now you're recognizing, because the stress of the pandemic really brought to light the ways in which value systems were not in coherence. Whatever your story is, we're being asked this week to be super honest with our memories of the past. And when we're thinking about this on like an exponential macrocosmic level, you know, I think it's kind of cool that we've moved through this experience. And what I'm seeing, at least here locally, is that a lot of businesses are starting to really pay people more of a living wage to entice people to come back to work. If we take out this idea of good and bad and right and wrong and just look at, oh, society is shifting, structures are shifting, and can I focus on the positive in that? Can I be a force of service in the shifting of the collective that I feel would be in a really good, positive, nourishing direction? We want to step out of the past vibration is what I'm saying. Long story short, we're going to feel this pull, this trigger to really tune into this reminiscing vibe. And you're being invited to catch yourself and say, oh, how much do I want to stay in that vibe? Or how much would I like to actually be present now? Or envisioning a positive future? Because this week is so potent with that. And this Six of Cups, this emotional hook, this tug, it's combined here with the World, which is the last of the major arcana cards. It is literally the card of non-attachment, of recognizing that when we open our hands and follow our feet and let ourselves be devotees to great mystery, when we stop trying to hold on so tightly to the plan that our brain has put into place that gives us a false sense of security and safety, because no matter how much you plan, shit happens. Life changes. How many of us could have planned and predicted for what we've experienced in the last 18 months, right? And so really, how many of us can plan and prepare for what's happening in the next 18 months? None of us have a clue. We are all being gifted an opportunity to choose the world, to choose, okay, well, I actually do have all that I need inside of me, just like the turtle with the turtle shell. I have what I need inside of me. I am breathing, my heart is beating. I hope and hope that you have access to food and water and shelter. Not all of us have the opportunity to say that. But if you're watching this, chances are you probably do. And so just holding space for that. Can we allow that to be the focal point of being in this moment and not being attached to the future, to allow ourselves less suffering in this now moment that we can only control our internal landscape around, right? Just holding this space for a moment. I am returning from a memorial service in Seattle, and I was really, really touched with the homeless, or houseless, I should say, population there. And I have no answers for it, but just holding space for that and for this knowing that we don't all have what we need. And really feeling a call forward to say, how can we be of service to those who need us in this moment? How can we be of service? How can we bring our energy back from what I have lost as an individual into the consciousness of what have we ignored as a society? And these problems were here and were growing well before the pandemic. And I don't really even want to use the word problem because that's a negative bias against human beings who simply don't have what they need at a bare necessity level. Just really holding space for that thought and that heaviness in the heart. And also knowing that I, as an individual, can't change that, nor can you, but I can begin to really open my awareness to it. I can begin having conversations about it. I can begin navigating and funneling resources towards ideas and groups that feel in alignment for solving these situations where human animals are hurting. And when we can just let go of the need to control. This card is all about letting go of the need to control. I'm being with this feeling, but I don't need to control it. I don't need to be a savior, nor do I need to step in the martyr energy or the victim energy. We're being invited in these times to be able to hold the nuance of truth, the nuance of what is, that we are alive on a world, in a system that doesn't really judge these energies. Nature is built on life and birth and death and murder and all of the things that we have feelings about. And it's not good or bad or right or wrong. It simply is. And our consciousness is being invited into an up-leveling experience where we make different choices, where we hold love as the frequency of decision making rather than power over or scarcity or survival. And I have no idea what is possible, but when I tune in and feel into what life might be like if we all led from that place of compassion, I think it's pretty exciting. So this concludes the very long last message for September into October. If this serves you well, please leave a comment below. Please like, please subscribe. It really helps others to find my messages and it supports me continuing to do this work. Take good care. I hope that you have everything that you need. And if you are interested in beginning to sit in the containers that I hold to be with the frequency that I am bringing to the table, I encourage you to check out Wild Moon Medicine Collective for Women. We open on Friday. We begin each month with one sticky topic. The first topic this month is going to be Great Mystery. You will receive a daily journal prompt, an opportunity to be in a guidance circle with me where you can ask your query and receive support, as well as vulnerability practice circles and a private community where we are all doing the spiritual work together in the hopes of attaining deeper personal liberation so that we can be of more service to this planet and to one another as well as ourselves. So take good care, and I will see you next Moonday.